Welcome to the bottom line. I'm your girl, Bruce Boswell, your host. If you haven't, take a look around. Check out the content, and if you like the style, subscribe on the way out. I gotta go get my hair done soon. When I was younger, you wouldn't catch me without my hair done. I'm listening to
Dusty? Because, baby, I feel dusty. I feel like I look really dusty.
content, a YouTuber I really like.
And I had put that shit on like I was cute. You get so dirty at Coachella. Oh, God, you get so dirty.
I came across some interesting comments that black women had posted, and I thought it would be beneficial. I think we gotta be more authentic, open, and honest. This one said, I wish people would be more honest about mental health in the black community. Hello, somebody. I truly feel like it's not safe to have any mental health disorders while black. Isn't that something? You get dismissed, called crazy, and ignored for the most part. It's really heartbreaking. People just want you to take your meds, shut up, and move out the way. Most times, it's not even understood that the disorders clouds your judgment and make you think irrational. People have different mental health conditions. This person, struggles in a different way. Mine's was migraine, anxiety, and depression. Yours might be alcoholism and something else. So many different forms of mental health. But it don't mean you're crazy. I'll tell you that for damn sure. So I joined a mental health for black women group on Facebook, and when someone finally posted about their depression, everyone commented that their relationship with Christ was too strong to get depression. How ridiculous is that? I took God to therapy with me. A lot of y'all need to take him with you too. Get from behind these lies. It's ridiculous. So they were in that group to put people down with their religion. That ain't uncommon. Some of the worst people are in the church. And that's the truth. This is fake and phony. They gonna bust hell wide open. It's a shame. It really is. The way they navigate, God ain't in none of that. I think religious plays a big part in how black people view mental illness or even disorders like autism. In my book, The Unapologetic Guide to Black Mental Health, she talked about religion being, and pastors being the center of mental health. Remember they said that black people don't commit suicide. That's a white people thing, And in my last vlog, if you haven't watched it, go back and check it out. We dead everywhere. Dead everywhere. I had an uncle with schizophrenia who showed signs for years and was finally diagnosed in the early 2000s after having multiple exorcisms. Wow. My grandmother talked him into believing that the medicine was unnecessary as it was just silencing the demons that he needed to have banished. People finally told him to take his meds when this man booked a flight to Iraq and told no one. He was there for 2 months. Keep in mind, we're East African with no connection to Iraq whatsoever. Even now, there's still this belief that if you're experiencing mental health, it's because you're not praying hard enough. I'm going to really dive into these subjects because it is ridiculous. And a great part of our community still believes these things. No wonder P. Diddy getting so much rhythm. It's ridiculous. Better get real and heal. Get from behind these lies and survive. It's just terrible. I can bust out laughing on some of it, but it ain't funny, so I'm trying to contain myself. Religion has a strong hold in the community with how they view mental health. It's dangerous, and I'm kind of glad we're talking about it more. Amen. It's just, it's terrible how we don't do our due diligence to really, understand this silliness. We've been hiding behind these lies since before I was born, and we still hiding behind them. My heart really does go out to people, and we got to quit doing that. Here's somebody else. Here's my story. I developed depression for the first time when I was 13. How many of us grew up with toughen up, shake it off? Ain't nothing wrong with you. Go sit down. You better get it together. I noticed it when my family was arguing like they always did. And for once, I didn't react with any emotions. I didn't feel fear or anger or sadness. I just felt numb. It was like my brain was frozen. In the beginning, the effects were small. It was a bit harder to concentrate in class, and I struggled to motivate myself to do things that had previously come easy to me. But for the most part, it didn't affect my ability to function or perform important tasks. But as the years went on, things started to go downhill fast. By the time I was 16, I had gone from being a straight A student to getting mostly C's. I could no longer focus in class, and I couldn't even get through textbook chapters. By senior year, I had gone from a 4.0 to getting nothing but D's and E's, and almost wasn't allowed to graduate. Wow. On top of failing in school, my personal hobby suffered, as well. As a kid, I was in love with drawing, reading, and writing, but all three of these loves now felt impossible to do. Plus, the extracurriculars that I was a part of that were once fun ways for me to escape my pain also became just as hard at school. As my mind deteriorated in my teenage years, along the way I discovered online competitive games like League, Overwatch, and Hearthstone. As you might imagine, this made things 10 times worse. I remember sinking 10 hours a day into those games, all in an effort to escape. Fast forward to now, I'm 21 and still struggling. I went to and dropped out of community college. I worked an assortment of odd jobs while trying to figure out my path. I spent a year living on my own. It went very bad. I wound up moving to Virginia to live with a kind relative who took pity on me. I'm trying to make and save money with hopes of giving independence another try sometime next year. I lost my health insurance, which means no therapy or medication, so I'm trying to look into applying for Medicaid. The healthcare system, the support system in this country is trash. Biggest question, and educational. Our kids shouldn't have to pay, and we shouldn't have to go in debt to send our kids to college. Again, black people digging our way out of poverty. And we on here acting like we come from money. It's ridiculous. Biggest questions on my mind right now is whether to pursue my love of art or my love of books. Do I want to be a freelance artist or a librarian? And whether or not it's worth it to go back to college. Whatever path I choose is going to have to wait for me to get my depression under control. Everything wait when you're depressed. I don't care who you are. At some point, it's going to address you. Another wrote, I have generalized anxiety for which I take medication. It got unbearable when I got to med school. My school is 8 hours away from home. I was stressed out from loans. My classmates weren't the best, and there were a few racial incidents that the administration could do nothing about. Minorities go through a lot. And then people want to tell us, quit using the race card or crying victim. You can't use a race card or cry victim when these things are happening. I would love to not have a conversation about these things. But if I close my mouth and if I ignore them, I am lying. And so are you. Let's address them the proper way by telling the truth and holding people accountable. Then the call started. My brother was a freshman at the undergraduate portion of the university. He was struggling academically and wasn't on any sports teams. My dad would call me and I would leave class for hours to talk him out of his anger. He was mad that my brother wasn't an athlete and wasn't doing well. He said he felt like my brother had robbed him of being the dad to a successful kid. Isn't that something? The dad need to be in therapy. If I didn't pick up, my mom would text me begging to pick up because he would call her at work nonstop. She told me he would only listen to me because I was the only opinion respected because of my academic success. Then my sister told me she wanted to take a gap year after her graduation. I had to convince my family that a gap year would be good and is normal. The calls got worse. My sister later told me that he would call her and tell her she was a failure for wanting time off before applying to med school. He did that to me when I was applying to college. He wanted me to apply to Ivy League schools because he wanted the bragging rights. He would call during my free periods and call me a failure for not applying. Same thing when I decided to be a Japanese major. Then my immediate family would paint me as this pillar in the Black community and how I'm lifting the family up and it's my responsibility to lead. How many Black families has put the responsibility of their dreams and desires and respect on the backs of somebody else? Do it your damn self. How I'm supposed to be this representation of everyone's potential. I had cousins ask me about my experience, which led to them playing the same niche sports I played or going to higher education just because I said it helped me go abroad. I have cousins now trying to work in the same field. It's a lot of pressure from my dad and a lot of pressure being the emotional support animal for the entire family. It's exhausting. It's draining. It's debilitating. My grades started slipping and I started having night terrors. I wake up screaming and panic attacks. I would wake up shaking and crying every morning. If my ex was visiting, I would quiet myself and cry on my bathroom floor. And he, also a med student, would berate me for being weak and that I shouldn't be upset because other people have it worse. This is how you have a breakdown. This is how you lead somebody into unaliving themselves. I ended up taking time off and went home for a semester. And when I got there, my parents said I looked like a shell of myself. I wouldn't leave my childhood bed and wouldn't leave the house unless dragged. Even making small devious were nerve-wracking because it felt like everything had too much weight attached to it. It was hard pretending that everything had to be perfect and feeling like you still weren't good enough. My mom found a mental health professional who could see me, and she tried to diagnose me with depression and anxiety, but I told her if I took meds, it would have to be low dose and I couldn't take anything sedating. Even as a future health professional, I felt like a failure for needing medicine. I'm slightly better now. I still wake up panicked, but I don't have the attacks. I told my family I couldn't continue to answer the calls anymore and that I wasn't some beacon of light and leadership for everyone to judge and look at. I have a better support system at school. 2 days ago, my dad actually called and apologized for putting the pressure on me all these years and that he didn't realize it was stressful like this. He realizes I don't pick up the phone when he calls and wants to fix our relationship. It's all baby steps, but I'm trying to move forward. Side note, I also finally understood what the commercials meant when they said suicidal thoughts. It's my first time reading it. Just said that a little while ago. Wake up. Common sense. Reality when you pay attention. Reality and the answers are in front of you. And far too many of us aren't looking or listening. We're looking the other way, talking shit, saying mind your own business. This is our business. Get involved with it. The first month I was on medication when my family was at work or school. I would stand at the top of the stairs and think about ending it. I was a complete terror for my family that first month. My mom ended up getting diagnosed as well. She tried my medication and expressed that she mentally felt worse and couldn't get out of bed. I explained what I was feeling and she understood why I got worse before I got better. If you take medicine, be very careful. Listen, whether you join me in this community and have honest, authentic discussions, share this content, support the let's get real and heal mentality way of living or not, this will be addressed at some point. We have to wake up and address this mess. More thoughts from Black women coming out.